As I sit here eating dinner, I want to point out something to you to let you know that they're trying to make gang stalking global. And I told y'all that this is going to happen. Today it's me. Tomorrow it's all of you. They get past me, all of you are next. Including the gang stalkers, which the gang stalkers are, all that is just simply a civilian spy force. An organized, uniform civilian spy force that every communist regime brings in years before they actually are able to take a civilization to crisis, demoralize a civilization, bring it to crisis, and then bring it to the period of normalization and stability, and then of course bring in big brother government, and overthrow constitutional republic, or overthrow whatever was there before and replace it with basically fascism. They always have their civilian spies. That's what gang stalkers are. And they typically come from cults, gangs, satanic grottos, witches' covens, Freemasonry, usually ex-cons, the poor, people that don't have careers and people don't have anything else to do with their life. And so they have time on their hands. Might as well use this time to go do something good for your country and do something good. We're moving in a new direction. We have a new world order and 1,000 points of light has come upon us and blah, blah, blah. And basically what it is they just want to, they being the people that already have the money, your billionaires and your mega millionaires, they want to have control of everything so that no one can ever be able to compete with them. It's very simple. It's just like any other business. They run the nation and your world like a business. They simply want to have control to such an extent that they don't have to worry about anyone other than them ever having any of the money or any of the control or any of the power or any influence. Therefore, they'll never have to worry about being overthrown. They don't have to worry about their grandchildren's grandchildren. They'll be ruling forever, their bloodlines, their nepotism, and it'll go on forever. That's the whole point of it all. And then ultimately, they want to wipe out our carbon-based life because, as I said before, these creatures are what you would call archons. Okay, the best word for them would be archons. Judeo-Christian editor says fallen angels or Nephilim, fallen angel human hybrids. The fallen angels mated with the earth women and then created Nephilim, and then Nephilim men and Nephilim women were created. The Nephilim women try to hook up with a normal human, have his baby, and then it's a Nephilim baby, and they just pollute the bloodline. That's what they've been doing. They've been seeking out all the humans and sending Nephilim into their lives. These archons, archon human hybrids, to basically through copulation make the human race extinct, where the whole earth is just inhabited by archons. That's what they do. They're like parasites. They're parasitic creatures. You can say they're from another planet or another dimension or whatever, aliens or Anunnaki or whatever. The fact of the matter is, that is what it is. But I don't want to delve into all that stuff because it might be too much for you. Like, oh man, this is science fiction. Yeah, well, no, not really, man. You see the military coming out with all these UFO videos. This is your military. Are they lying? Are the UFOs real? We know they are. Well, then what the fuck are they? Angels, demons? No such thing as angels and demons. So they're aliens. There's something, and there's something that's not human. Okay, and we all know that. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so what they're doing is they want the coronavirus is the means for them to be able to do everything else. There is no such thing as a coronavirus. Coronavirus is a cold. And COVID-19, Ovid, from COVID, in Latin means sheep. And if you know your Bible, the number 19 in Hebrew means slaughter. So C, like CBS, that channel CBS, C as in S-E-E, not the letter C, C the bullshit, C the BS, CBS, C the bullshit, CBS, right? So COVID would be C-S-E-E instead of the letter C. And then Ovid means sheep, as I said, in Latin. So C the sheep, and then number 19. The number 19, as I said before, as far as the Hebrew language is concerned, the number 19 means slaughter. See the sheep slaughtered. See the slaughtering of the sheep. That's what it is. Okay, by the goats. And understand the sheep and the goats. The sheep are the humans. The goats are the non-humans. Separate the wheat from the chaff, the wheat from the tares. The wheat are the humans. The chaff, the tares are the non-humans, not non-Christians, non-humans. Okay, but let's go back to, let's get out of that metaphysical stuff and let's just go back to this just material plane, just mammon, your politics. Their goal is to always stay in power. These corporations and these companies, and your nation is a corporation. That's all it is. And all nations are a corporation, and they all work together as one massive corporation by way of the Bank for International Settlements, by way of banks, central banks. Okay, and they are in the process of doing away with all that stuff and going to a digital currency because it's less costly, and because they can be able to turn off your currency at any time and you won't be able to do anything about it. They're getting rid of all the brick and mortar stores to where you have to buy everything digitally or online, and therefore if they don't like you, they can just take your money, turn off your chip, or never send you your items, never send you your goods, and eventually they're going to do this with your groceries. And if you want to complain, you're not going to be able to complain to anybody. When you want to complain about Amazon, what do? You can't do shit, because there's no customer service department, there's no customer service number. You can call no one, you can do nothing. You call someone, you get some guy from India that barely can speak English, and he doesn't know our laws. He doesn't know our consumer rights because he's not an American citizen anyway. You see? And they got to the point now that you have computer geeks like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates trying to tell you about medicine and about vaccines and about what you should and you should not do regarding coronavirus or regarding the flu or regarding any kind of illness or any kind of contagion. When that's not their field of study. They write code. You understand? These are computer geeks. These are nerds. They're not scientists. They're not microbiologists. They're not physicians. They didn't go to med school. They didn't go to pre-med. They don't know what they're talking about. But because one has eyeglasses and they both look like nerds, and because they're popular, one of them's charismatic, Mark Zuckerberg, and they're billionaires, they must know what they're talking about because they're billionaires. But you don't understand how they create billionaires. You're going to be a billionaire if you're going to work with the Defense Department as far as America's concerned. If you're willing to work for the Defense Department and create their stuff and be their pitch man, then they'll make you wealthy. That's what they did with Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, he was adopted. You see, his adoptive mother worked for DARPA. And Amazon is a DARPA institution. You know what DARPA is? You need to look it up. And then look up something called Quiet Weapons for Silent Wars. Quiet Weapons for Silent Wars. It's an actual government document. Look up the PDF file. You can download it. The PDF, P as in Peter, D as in dog, F as in fair, as in farm. PDF. It's free. You can download it. Download the PDF called Iron Mountain and read them. Read Iron Mountain. Read Quiet Weapons for Silent Wars, and you'll see what these people really have in mind, and you realize they're not really people. There's no one can be that evil and be a human. These are archons. But I don't want to delve into that. Like I said, the goal is through all of this control, and then also getting celebrities basically to tell you to stay inside, even though they're rich. They're billionaires, they're mega millionaires, they're millionaires. They don't need to work. They're okay. They have money, but see, everybody else does not, and they're telling you to stay at home when you're struggling to eat. How are you going to pay your bills? See, they don't care. They don't care about you. They don't give a shit about you. And quit thinking that they're doing this to try to save you or help you or to prevent the spread of this or that. None of that shit matters to them at all. They want you to die. You understand? And they got a civilian spy force. It's been in place since 9/11. It's been in place before then. But they really started mass producing these civilian, what you call gang stalkers, which is just simply a civilian spy force for the United States government. It's through the Defense Department, Justice Department, and Homeland Security. And the Freemasons are the ones that run it. The local Freemasonic Lodge, most worshipful master. Okay, and so cops are involved as well as the Sheriff's Department and all first responders. They've been told this lie that there's going to be this great war, this famine, and all these things are going to happen. And I don't know if they were told this by design or if it was or a lie, but it's going to happen. And we're only going to have a certain amount of food and a certain amount of resources to share. So you first responders, you EMTs, you firemen, and you cops, we want you to be on our side, and we want you to root out anybody that's not willing to worship Lucifer, although they don't say it like that. anyone who's not willing to burn the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, although they don't say it like that, but that's what they're implying. Basically, if you're not, we need to trample on rights and able to be able to save lives. We need to trample on people's rights because it is necessary to be able to save the whole. In other words, that we have to sacrifice a few people, maybe a few million, maybe hundreds of millions, in order to save the billions. That's the lie they're told. That we have to save people. In order to save people, we have to destroy others. And you have to come to grips with that reality, and that's what they did, and that's the speeches that they give at your local chamber of commerce, courthouse, and that's what they do, a city council and things like that, and they have these discussions, and then they'll say, oh, they got the jury duty, and they go to jury duty. It's not jury duty; it's where they go get their meeting, where they go scheme on how to kill off all the other Americans. But this is a global thing, okay? And so they got a civilian task force. One of your neighbors, maybe your neighbor, maybe one of them. One of your neighbors, maybe a couple of your neighbors. I have a few neighbors that are in on it. I know that already. They're part of a civilian task force. They're guilty of treason, obviously, for violating the Bill of Rights and then wiping their ass with the Constitution. But none of that matters right now. I'm simply trying to give you intel as to what's going on. And they're trying to make this a thing now that through this illness we need to have basically rats, we need to have narcs, we need to have snitches, we need to have civilian snitches to be able to follow people around because they may have came in contact with someone that had coronavirus. We need to follow that person that had coronavirus around, and every single person, man, woman, or child that person with coronavirus, even though he's well now, any person he comes in contact with, we need to gang stalk them, we need to snitch on them, we need to keep an eye on them. For the sake of humanity, for the sake of reason, so that everybody stays healthy. That's what they're doing, and then as a result, they got everybody spying on everyone else. You see, and ultimately, as the goal is they want the citizens to open fire on the cops, and they will. They want the citizens to open fire on the military open fire on the citizens, and all that will happen. But the reason that they want that to happen is by doing that. They want to bring this nation to crisis. Again, look at Yuri Bezmenov and the 4 steps that were given by Sun Tzu. From the Art of War. He wrote the Art of War. It is the 4 steps that you bring down the civilization. Well, this is the most free civilization in the world. It's the best nation in the world. So this is how they're going to destroy it. Is by doing this. Okay, having the military and the cops are all brainwashed into committing treason and bringing in this communist fascism state where the tech giants and your corporations rule, and the poor are just expendable trash, commoners, eaters, and it's a Masonic order. What they call themselves is the Pharaoh priesthood, where the Pharaoh priesthood rules at the top, and then you just got the commoners and serfs, and they're expendable just like a grain of sand or a piece of rotten bread. Like, you don't mean shit. Okay? And they'll be at war and shooting us, and we'll be shooting back at them. And what's going to happen is we're going to kill each other off, and it doesn't matter who wins that struggle, because over the top, here comes the UN, here comes Russia, here comes China, here comes NATO, here comes the Israeli forces, and they come and they slaughter all of us. The whole point is to weaken America by having the Americans go to physical war on the streets in all 48 states, in every county in all 48 states, in every town in every county in all 48 contiguous states, shooting at each other, blowing each other up, setting each other on fire, killing each other, okay? Because we don't want to be thrown in a concentration camp. There used to be a Walmart. We don't want to take the chip. We don't want to be tested for a coronavirus. We're not sick. Leave us the fuck alone. We don't want to take a vaccine because those things are not good. And we don't trust our government, and there'll be war. War will break out. That is inevitable. And throughout all of that, our numbers are going to go down, right? There's going to be famine. The place is going to be in complete anarchy. It's going to be in a state of crisis. Then the normalization will be when the UN tanks and the NATO tanks come running through, and the Chinese and Russian armor come in and start slaughtering all the American citizens. You see, that's the goal, is to weaken us by having us fight each other like that, and then the other nations of the world can come in over the top and kill us all off, and they take over the White House, they take over Capitol Hill, they take over the Pentagon, and it's run by a bunch of foreigners. You see, there will be no United States of America. There is no United States of America in the New World Order. They want to turn this into a prison, this entire continent into just a big prison. and all of the civilized people will be living in Europe or the Middle East. They'll be living across the ocean, and right here, because it's a perfect place to build a prison, so that they can have their utopia, and anybody that's doing crimes or committing crimes or whatever like that, they'll be sent to America, which is just a prison, because you can't escape. What are you going to do? Swim across the ocean? You can do nothing. It's a perfect place to create a prison. That's the whole point. I know whatever I speak. I know what I'm talking about. These are not guesses, man. I've read their materials. I've heard their discussions. I used to be on that side. You understand? I know what I'm talking about. I know their end game. And then ultimately, at the end, after all of that, they got robots, and they're building robots. They're using something called the Brain Initiative, which I know most of you never heard of. Look it up on the internet sometimes. Brain in the capital letters, BRAIN, all caps, and then initiative. And look how many billions of dollars all these dozens of nations are pumping into it a piece. And you'll see that they're creating robots, and the goal is that they're already created robots. And the robots will replace the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, will replace the humans. And there'll be a robotic world, basically, a world of robots and cyborgs, and the human race will be extinct. And that's the goal, ultimately, that they're going to kill off their own people, even kill off their own fellow Archons, and have the world populated with robots and get rid of all carbon-based life. And they themselves want to turn themselves into cyborg creatures, like flesh, and what flesh and technology meet, flesh and machine. And therefore they don't need to breathe, they don't need to drink water, they don't need to eat. They can live like a machine forever. That's what they mean by they can become gods, they can become powers. They want to turn themselves into machines. You see, this is the lunatic stuff that they're really trying to accomplish, the whole goal of it all. They're trying to find the God particle and trap it through CERN. And you don't really understand what that means. I don't have time to go through it. My food's getting cold. But quit believing the pitchmen. You know, these comedians on late night talk shows. They don't have medical degrees. They're not physicians. They're not MDs. Okay, they're stand-up comedians that got a job sitting behind the desk and interviewing people at night. Okay, don't take these people seriously regarding politics. Their opinions don't mean a goddamn thing. And don't take their opinions regarding medicine or regarding vaccines or regarding this coronavirus or COVID-19, which doesn't even exist. Okay, because they're feeling you full of shit. And even if they were trying to be honest with you, they wouldn't know what they're talking about, because they didn't go to school for this stuff. They didn't go to school to be a microbiologist or a physician or someone that studies, you know, viruses and bacteria and other contagion. They did not go to school for that. They're not competent when it comes to discussing that particular topic. Don't pay attention to what they're saying. And besides, they get a script anyway. Listen to what this guy says right here on Fox News, and you can hear him talk about exactly what I'm saying. It's a civilian spy force, but he doesn't say it like that. But look at this. He's saying that the states and the federal government want to create a system of civilians that will basically stalk coronavirus people that used to have the coronavirus, but obviously don't have it anymore, but they wouldn't be walking the streets, and basically spy on them and follow them around and keep records of the people they go in contact with and spy on those people too. Listen to this. This is on your mainstream news.
You know, Johns Hopkins says that we need a contact tracing program, 100,000 contact tracers hired, $3.6 billion. There's some bills up in the...
3.636?
With the administration's support, you know what health experts say? A civilian conservation corps type, a work progress administration, massive federal program that is needed to test and contact trace every single American. Would the administration support that as something that we've seen pretty successfully done in some other countries in order to be...
Every single American, all 300 million of us being spied on and stalked. All 300 million of us being gang stalked. I told you years ago when Barack Obama was president that was their goal. I told you when Bush was president that that's what they're going to do. I told you, man. You should have been listening to me. Civilian Corps. There's your CC, the 33. Fortunately for you, none of that shit's going to happen. You have a savior. You got some stuff going on that you can look forward to that you don't need to know nothing about. You just need to know you don't have to worry about nothing. Nevertheless, you need to have some firearms around and some ammo, because shit's going to get hairy. as the months go by and they start trying to institute this shit. Okay? And understand, even if you overcome this deep state, even if you overcome these fucking maniacs and lunatics that are trying to poke their nose into your fucking life, you know, these law enforcement officers that think that they're God and think that they're your dad or your mom and that they have the right to poke their nose into your fucking life, and they do not. They're sociopaths. They've lost their fucking mind. They've been brainwashed, and you need to pray for these people because they don't realize they've been brainwashed. People that have been brainwashed don't realize they've been brainwashed, or else they could get help. People under mind control don't realize they're under mind control. That's how it works. It works because people don't realize it. Okay, so they need your prayers. Because if you pray for them, maybe they can be saved from that brainwashing and the mind control. And if they can't, then the Lord will just kill them. You understand? But if you don't pray for them, neither will happen, and they will beat you. That's why you're supposed to pray for your enemies. You're supposed to forgive your enemies and pray for those that mistreat you. Why? It's not for them. It's not for their sake. It's for your sake. Because you keep your hands blameless. There's no blood on your hands. You keep yourself blameless. And also you attract the attention of the Father in heaven, in the third heaven. You attract the attention of Him. And He looks down to see who it is that you're praying for, because He's the one that's supposed to answer those prayers, right? Right. And when He looks and sees how wicked they are, the people that you're praying for and forgiving, what do you think He's going to do? He's going to search out their hearts and see if there's any kind of repentance in them, see if they're willing to be a better person and quit doing shit like that. And if they're willing, then He'll work with them. If they're not willing, He's going to kill them, because they're dangerous. They're dangerous. They're dangerous to the people that the Father loves, that God loves. They're a clear and present danger to the people that God loves on this earth. He's not going to just let them go and kill you or incarcerate you or come take you away and drag you and your children out of your house. He's going to kill them. Okay? Or he's going to work with them if He sees that there's anything within themselves, within their DNA, where they have it within their code, because your DNA is your computer code. Your DNA is your code. It's your program, your operating system. To see within His operating system the DNA of that person, one, if they're not a Nephilim, to see, or Archon, you know, that they would be willing to reconsider and turn away from their wickedness and turn away from, starting fights with complete strangers just because they have a badge, or because a cop told them to, or a Fed, or some government entity told them to, to go force someone out of their house, or go force someone to swab their mouth, go force someone to take a shot when you have no right to do that, especially if they're not even sick. And the Lord will kill those people, and that's exactly what's coming next. And He doesn't need your help. Nevertheless, they're going to lash out. They've already been lashing out. Part of this is part of that lashing out. A lot of their people have died. A lot of these Archons have died, and Nephilim have died. And they're pissed off because they came so far just to fail. And they can't stand the thought of that. And so that's what I'm saying. When that time comes, they start trying to bring a van, or a 12-man team or something like that over there to your house at 4 o'clock in the morning and come seize you, you need to be ready to open fire. And you need to don't communicate with anybody on these fucking cell phones or laptops. Do not use technology that was given to you by others. In other words, by the state. And the state are your businesses, your corporations, Nokia, Samsung, Apple. Those are government agencies. Okay, those are government entities. Okay, under the guise of being a publicly traded company. Okay. They received billions of dollars of funding to be Apple, billions of dollars of funding to be Amazon. Amazon was losing money year after year after year. So is Uber right now. How come it didn't go belly up? Jeff Bezos was fucking broke because fucking DARPA was supporting it. It's meant to be a government institution, so that it gets rid of all your brick and mortar stores, to where the only way you can buy anything is if you go through Amazon. And if you don't go through Amazon, you won't be able to buy shit, because there'll be no such thing as stores anymore. And that's what this collapse is about. To collapse your restaurant, so that you want food, you have to go to the state, and you have to serve Satan. You have to serve Lucifer and make an oath to serve Lucifer. And if you do not, you're not going to eat. Simple as that. If you're not going to worship the devil, you're not going to eat. That's the kind of monstrosity you're trying to bring to this place. Okay? And then not just worship the devil, but you got to worship it the way they want you to. And you have to get on your knees and take an oath where you forsake the Lord, where you forsake Jesus Christ, where you forsake God, you forsake Allah, you forsake whatever it is you believe in. You will worship Satan, Baal, Moloch, Lucifer, Baphomet. And that's the way that it is. And then also that you will worship them. And if you do those things, they'll let you survive long enough until they're able to start mass producing their robots, and then they'll just kill you anyway. Because they don't intend on having any humans walking this earth, because the goal is to make the human race extinct towards just archons and the machines. And the archons or Nephilim or fallen angels or human hybrids or Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them, aliens, they're merging with the machines to create a hybrid type of creature that can supposedly live forever, because they'll be machines and they won't need air. And so they plan on, that's what Iron Mountain is about. That's why I told you to read it. It's about killing off the environment on purpose and then blaming the humans for it. When they say that the humans are parasites, no, it's the archons, it's the Nephilim, Anunnaki. They just look like us. They look just like us. And no, they're not shapeshifters. They look like us because they're genetically similar to us. And that's what's going to get them killed, is that they're genetically similar but not genetically equal. Okay, God, the creature that created this planet, he put something into the DNA of the archons where there's a suicide gene in there. There's a suicide gene in there that's not in the human race. And so when shit gets too crazy, when it gets too crazy here, when it gets too nuts and too evil and too depraved and to where the human race is really about to be extinct, the Heavenly Father, God, you want to call it God, this force is going to turn on that gene, that dormant cell, that dormant gene in their DNA, that suicide gene, and it's going to kill them. And they're going to, some are going to die instantly, some are going to get very ill and then die, and the archons are all going to die. They're going to drop dead all throughout the earth. Even if they were to be merged machine, they'll die. And what the Heavenly Father is going to do with the robots is he's going to take over the robots with the power of the Holy Spirit. In other words, he's going to replace the AI with his intelligence. His natural intelligence is going to replace the artificial intelligence, and he's going to use the robots to kill their masters, which are these archons, which are these Nephilim. These are not people, family. You have to wrap your head around the fact that a lot of these people you see on TV are not human beings. Okay, there's a show called They Live by John Carpenter. Roddy Piper was on it. The guy was a professional wrestler. And he said it more than once, and he said it on Twitter. He said They Live was a documentary. He was being dead serious, and so was John Carpenter. Roddy Piper's dead. I don't know what happened to John Carpenter. But they were trying to tell you something. Okay, this is what it is. And so just get prepared and buckle up. You don't need to be saving food or hoarding food. You're not going to, that will not help you at all. You need to have some knowledge. You need to come from a state of moral superiority. You understand? A state of moral superiority and having knowledge of where you can get water, of where, if you're running for your life and you're treading ground, what weeds can you eat, what trees, the roots are edible, where can you find water, how do you disinfect the water. You need to be able to have some knowledge on these types of things so that you can be able to survive, have firearms and ammo so you can be able to fight back and be able to keep yourself alive. Because even if you're able to overcome the deep state, which that will be easy because you outnumber them big time, they're going to bring the rest of the nations of the world, their armies, their militaries to come over here and try to kill you. Okay, because that's the whole point, is to just destroy America by any means possible. It's just easier to destroy a country by getting the country to destroy themselves and each other. And so that's what you're seeing happening right now. And they're waiting for you to get violent. Don't get violent yet. There's a time and a place to get violent. This is the place, but now's not the time. But it's getting close. Keep your eyes open. And remember, they're just trying to get everybody paranoid. Don't fall for that shit. You ain't got nothing to be paranoid about. You got nothing to be worried about. You live in confidence. You live fearlessly. And understand when it's time to get down and boogie, and it's time to get violent, and it's time to defend your rights and to defend your life and the life of your children, that you're going to handle your business, you're going to get it done, because God is going to put it into your spirit and put it into your mind, exactly what you need to do, exactly where you need to go so you can get it done and stay alive and kill them off. You will win. Okay? Oh, and I forgot to tell you that the reason that they have the first responders in on this, and as well as the people that are affiliated with railroads, or people that are affiliated with any kind of travel, like truck drivers, those in charge of railroads, or having to do with the railroads, or Union Pacific, or anything like that. UPS, okay, postal workers, your first responders, which would be the, EMTs, your firemen, your cops. There's a reason why they have them in on this treason. They have them in on this stuff and tell them all these lies, that they're going to transform America into this new utopia, and there'll be some people that want to stick to the old ways, want to stick to the Bill of Rights and Constitution, and that's just not plausible now, because we've evolved past that, and we've evolved past the Constitution. We need the brotherhood of man and all this other shit. There's just all this other lies and gibberish. The reason being is, if you look at Nazi Germany, and also if you look at Vladimir Lenin, at the rise of the Bolsheviks, you see the same thing. You saw it in Pinochet's Chile. Any communist nation, any fascism that's ever existed in the world, going back 2,000 years, even before there was communism, there was communism. It just wasn't called that. It was a despotism, a monarchy, a feudalistic state, feudalism. Feudalism and communism are the same thing. There's a couple people up there at the top that have everything, and everybody else is a serf. Okay, that's communism, that's socialism. That's what that really is, when you put it into practice. And that's just the way that it is. Okay? And it sounds wonderful on paper. It sounds beautiful, beautiful, beautiful in theory. But when you put it into practice, it always fails, because there's corruption. You always have corrupt leaders. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Just the way that it is, and there's nothing that can be done about it. That's why that system always fails. It will never work. It's never worked and never will work. The people will eventually grab the torches and pitchforks because they're tired of suffering and being treated like shit, and they're going to get up and go do something about it or die trying. The reason that they get the EMTs, the policemen, and the firemen involved, as well as anyone involved with transporting supplies from point A to point B, whatever point A or point B may be, is because they're going to kill off all the truck drivers. They're going to kill off all the cops, kill off all the firemen, kill off all the EMTs. Why? Well, when they start to destroy this country through war, first there's going to be 4 wars going on at the same time in America, and then the whole world. There's going to be a civil war. Okay? There's going to be a civil war of those that want to stick to the Constitution, that are going to war with what they call the deep state, the gray state, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, the communist regime, the people that are in power right now. Civil war. Okay? Actually, I take that back. That'd be the Revolutionary War. There's going to be a revolution. That's war number 1. War number 2 is a race war. Okay, so I don't need to explain that. That's black versus white versus brown versus yellow versus green, whatever skin pigmentation. They're all just going to be fighting each other. It's ridiculous. It's stupid, but it's going to happen. Then, because there's people with a lot of money, deep pockets, Soros-like guys, billions of dollars, they want it to happen, and they make things happen because they're just the sheer amount of their wealth. Then you have, so you got Revolutionary War. The first thing I described, the people that were patriots up against the people that, the people that want the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and feel that that's being infringed on, and they made oaths maybe when they were soldiers, when they were soldiers once, going to war with the present-day soldiers that are committing treason because they made an oath to protect that Constitution from all threats, foreign and domestic, and they are the threat to the Constitution. They themselves are the threat, and they are going to war with their own fellow citizens, their own fellow Americans, and killing them, stalking them, harassing them, simply because those citizens were invoking their rights under the Constitution. So there'd be a Revolutionary War, then there's a race war, then there's going to be a civil war. And the civil war is Democrats versus Republicans, but it's going to spill into the streets, Antifa versus alt-right. All of these factions, all this stuff's going to be happening at the same time. And then the fourth war is a world war, where other nations are going to come invade these shores and start slaughtering the American citizens. And the Americans, you'll be fighting back too. Now, according to the Judeo-Christian narrative, it gives some pretty detailed information as to what's going to happen, and who's going to win and who's going to lose. And that's for another time. But I can tell you, I'm not worried about it. And so you should probably be on my side, because I'm on the side that wins. And I'm not on the Illuminati side. I'm not on the communist fascism side. I'm not on the New World Order side. Sure as hell not. That side's losing, and they're going to lose bad, big time. And they're not just going to lose, regarding humans. They're going to lose regarding things that, quite frankly, we can't comprehend. Someone has a heart attack or a stroke. Excuse me. Do you ever really think about how that happened? Oh, he just had a heart attack, and then you say, okay, and you move on. So, I probably smoked cigarettes. I probably ate too much fatty food. But why at that moment? How come not the day before? How come not years ago, weeks ago? How come that moment? How come you couldn't live a day more, or a day, or 2 more days more, or a year longer, or 5 years longer? His heart wasn't that bad. There's people with heart and arteries and lungs way worse. They're still alive. Judgment from the Lord, family. Judgment from God. You see? When God wants you dead, you're going to die. And if you've been avoiding all the other ways that He wanted to kill you, He'll just kill you with a heart attack. He'll kill you with a stroke. He'll kill you by you going through the windshield of your car in a car wreck. But He's going to get you. And if He doesn't want you to die, it doesn't matter what's against you. You ain't dying, baby. He authors who gets to live and who gets to die. He authors when you die. He authors when you don't die. Whether you're an archon or a human or an ant or a flea or a tick or a spider or a bird or a dog, a cat, whatever, a tree or a weed, He authors to the exact nanosecond when you're going to die and how you're going to die. And that's that. Whether you're going to win or whether you're going to lose. And that's that. And I know throughout all this, I ain't dying. And I ain't losing either. And that's why I say you should join my side. Be on my side, because I ain't losing to nobody. I'm not losing. God didn't create me on this earth just to lose, or just to be thrown in some camp, or to bend the knee to some demons. That's not what I'm here for. I'm more than a conqueror, and so are all of you if you have Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach. And don't believe these myths that they say, oh, Christianity is just based on the Egyptian myths and the Egyptian gods. No, it's not. That's a bunch of bullshit. Because there are very distinct differences between the doctrine of Christ and anything else that has ever existed on this earth prior to Christ's doctrines and afterwards. His doctrines are not comparable to anything else. This turning your cheek, slap one side of your face, let them slap the other. They take your cloak, give them your tunic as well. All of these mandates, to live in love, to forgive your enemies, pray for those who mistreat you. There are no religions that talk about shit like that. They weren't talking about those kinds of things in the ancient days. They don't talk about those kinds of things now. They say fight fire with fire. Someone hits you, you hit them back harder. There's so many precepts from Christ that did not originate anywhere else, because those ideas and those thoughts and philosophies simply did not exist on the earth. It was a very barbaric, ruthless world in those days, in the days of Christ and before. It was sheer barbarism. He was teaching philosophies and doctrines that were unheard of in those days. They're unheard of now. So don't believe this gibberish, because these pharaohic priesthood. That's who the Illuminati is. You call them the Illuminati. They call themselves pharaohs. They're the pharaohic priesthood. That's what they really called the PP, the pharaohic priesthood. That's the real name of them. The pharaohic priesthood, pharaohs, the pharaohic priesthood. That's what they're called. That's what they really are. Okay, and they come into the OTO, and then from there they go up higher than that, and they become a part of the Pharaoh priesthood. And based on what I was led to believe, you have to be part of a bloodline to get, to the upper echelons of it. And they'll let pretty much anyone join, but in order to get up there to the higher parts, the greater bits of it, they move onwards and upwards. In other words, to be one of the warriors on the block, you have to, come from a particular bloodline. And what's amazing is that I've already mastered that, the warrior on the block. The warrior on the block it means that you master your emotions, where you're able to live your life and nothing irritates you, nothing makes you mad, nothing makes you sad, nothing makes you anything. Where you're always focused. That's a warrior on the block, and I am that. If I want to be, I am rigid, living in love, living with boundless love for everyone, including my enemies. No hard feelings, man. I'm not going to let my emotions control me, because if you don't control your emotions are going to control you. And that's what they use. Their black magic and witchcraft is based on manipulating your emotions. And through the manipulation of your emotions, they can be able to manipulate you. What you say, what you think, what you do, how you feel. Simply by manipulating your emotions. That's all witchcraft is manipulation of emotions in an invisible world you can't see, so that it manifests in the visible world you can see. And so the warrior of the block means you must take the seething powers and energies of Lucifer. And I see that's the Lord they serve. To hell with Lucifer. I serve Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shawah. I serve God and Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Okay? But you notice that their goals are similar. They understand. They're not that dumb. You have to be able to control your emotions, but the key of David, the key of David, which I'm not going to say it out loud. I've said it before. I said it just now. That they don't know how to embrace, and as a result, they're godless. Meaning the word God means power, so they're godless. That means they're powerless. Regardless if they have control of their emotions or not, they don't have any real power, because they don't serve the source of the power. They serve the imposter. The goal is to get rid of all the... See, when they bring the war, they're going to kill off the cops. They're going to kill off the firemen. They're going to kill off all the EMTs. Why? So it's in a state of war where people are going to be dying. The world's going to be in anarchy, and there's going to be fires everywhere. All the firemen are dead. No one can put out the fucking fires, just like they couldn't put out the fire in Reichstag. Just like they couldn't put out the fire all throughout Russia, the Soviet Union. Okay, in the days of Bolshevism. Okay? And all the cops are dead, and there's anarchy, there's all sorts of crime all over the streets. Well, the cops can't do anything about it because all the cops are dead. And there's people bleeding and dying all over the place and missing limbs and just got blown up or got shot. There's nobody that has any medical experience because they're all dead. No EMTs. That's why they do that. That's why they put the first responders. The first responders means the first people that they're going to respond to and kill. When it's time for them to overthrow this country, they're going to be the first ones to die, to get killed. They're going to die. They're going to be invited, just like they were in Nazi Germany. They're going to say, hey, the deep state, the leaders are going to say, hey, come on, because they've already been talking to these cops and firemen for years, or over a decade in some cases. And so they're getting the trust of these idiots and say, hey, come on, jump on in, pack everything with you because you're not coming back. It's exactly what the Nazis said to their cops and their firemen and their masons and their their truck drivers and all that. And they're excited, and there's photos of them in the trains, all happy and waving at the camera. And there's armed soldiers, there, escorting them into the trains, and they're told that they're going to their new home and pack everything up because they're not coming back. And so they're excited and happy, like, oh yeah, all right, great, we're finally going to get rewarded, for what we did, all the stuff that we did. Hold on, and we're going to get rewarded. We're going to get hooked up. And so they go and jump in the trains, and they're thinking they're going to go have some great banquet, and then they're going to get hooked up like they were promised they were going to be. And the train stops, who knows how many miles on down. And these are actual photos taken to World War II, and you can see it happen here in America as well. And the police officers from all over the nation, all 48 states, and the sheriff's deputies and National Guard and all the EMTs and firemen, millions of these guys, they're going to, be getting out of their trains in the 48 contiguous states, and they're going to look around. They're going to see nothing but just ground and a big fucking ditch in front of them. They're like, okay, so what's our reward? And then, of course, they're going to be put on their knees, and they're going to be soldiers, one per guy, and behind them with a pistol to their head, blow their brains out, and they're going to fall face first into the ditch. There's your reward. And that's exactly what happened in World War II in Pinochet's Chile, in Russia, in the Soviet Union during Vladimir Lenin, and again in Stalin, Mao's China, where he killed over 40 million of his own people, including his cops. They served their purpose and they're put to death. And that's exactly what you're going to see in the United States of America. I don't think it'll be later this year. It might be, but for sure it's happening in 2021. They're going to kill all these fuckers off, man. All these. So, and they deserve it. I mean, do they not? I mean, it's pretty sorry, but it's a horrible thing. But you reap what you sow, man. And if you're going to be part of some evil shit like this and go throw your weight around like that, you got death coming your way from the very people that told you to do that shit. And I don't know what else to say other than I'll pray for your soul. But that's what happens. That's what happens in totalitarian societies. And if you would research like I do and read books instead of play video games or scratch your balls and watch Monday Night Football or whatever it is you do, but actually read nonfiction books like I do every day, all day, every day. Usually in PDF format because it's much more convenient. You'd know these things. I wouldn't be telling you anything that would be any kind of revelation. This would be common sense to you. And that's why they're doing that. That's why they have their insiders as the first responders. And also the truck drivers are going to put them all to death, and the people that run the railways, because once they're done with those assholes, they kill them. They have no use for them. And they know they can't trust them. Look what they just did. Look what they just did to their fellow Americans. Look what they just did. The deep state can't trust these assholes. You could kill them. They know too much. They know too much, man. And you want confirmation, just look at the video I got here of Yuri Bezmenov, ex-KGB. It tells you that's exactly the shit they did in Russia, in India, and all over the world. They're going to do it here too. It's the same people, the same system. And then that's so that if you want to be able to have anyone that's trained in being able to deliver supplies from point A to point B, they won't be able to help you because they're dead. They're just fucking corpses, along with all your cops, all your EMTs, and all your firemen. So I forgot to include that part in there with the previous podcast I uploaded, or was about to upload. So I'm going to merge these two into one and then upload it so you can listen to it. Okay, that's it. Peace out.